Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be my preview video on Bron Breakker, the Bone Breaker. He is a modern era aggressive style trickster. Looks kind of cool, I guess. He's a fisherman with like hooks and spikes sticking out of him. His card art's a lot cooler than in game, in my opinion. But here you can see like the fishing lures and chains on the hooks and spikes. Obviously, he's been stitched back together, so maybe he's kind of a play on Frankenstein because he's got a Frankensteiner. Maybe. I don't know. I like Sheamus a lot better. That's for sure. Yeah, aggressive style trickster here, so he's going to have access to the aggressive boss breakers, cracking the shield, exhaust, and rage. He is the A tier this month, so if Scopely holds true to that the A tier will be useful in boss battles, these are going to be the boss breakers that you can put on him for this boss battle. All right, so there's that. His coaching ability lines up with the zombie theme this month. At 35k, he goes up to 125% instead of the 100% that zombie Sheamus is. But other than that, it's still the same thing. It's just trap gems do a little bit more damage. Going over to Lincoln Gear, he is Year the Zombie. So the 2025 zombies will get this for the rest of the year if you pair them together. Any color moves start with 5 more move points. Anytime you get to start with extra move points in Showdown, he is fantastic. So this is pretty cool. And then he's got the updated zombies tag link. Any color moves starting MP reduced by 2 for your opponent. He also has the modern era link. Gems do 5% more damage. This is not very useful for him. Every little bit helps, but boy, this is a little bit, okay? So that's kind of the stats on Bron Breakker. I do want to go over here. Let's take a look at his gems. He is a trickster, so obviously purple gems are his main color. His secondary gems are black. So his tertiary gems are red and green over here. And this will actually matter quite a bit for his first moveset that I've got for you. Again, I'm going to go over his movesets in order that you get them. And when I say order that you get them, you start out with a handful of moves for 2-star, then you get another move for 3-star, another move for 4-star. Sometimes those moves that you get do not change what the recommended build should be. So the first move set is going to be good for him all the way up until 4-star. And just because a new star level gets you a new move that gives you access to a move set does not necessarily mean that move set is any better than the previous move set. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But we're going to start off with his 2-star moveset, which is available right at 2-star. I know he's a 2,000 chart recruit, so you'll get him at 4-star. But if for some reason you pick him up at 2-star, this moveset will work in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Now, at these rarities, you won't get the type of damage that I'm getting. I am level 390. I do have full stars. But the gameplay will be similar and the move flow will be similar, okay? So the moveset that we're going to use is going to be the Delayed Inevitable Suplex. Deal 529,000 damage, choose 9 gems to make into purple gems. The Oblongata Slam, deal 542,000 damage, make 15 random gems into trap gems. If broken by your opponent, deal another 542,000 damage and make 2 randos into botch gems. If broken by you, steal up to 1,000,000 health It's also a hardcore move if opponent's class is Technician. Deal 542,000 damage. Increase your red gem damage by 100% for 1 turn. Pretty cool. There's a lot going on in this move right here. You're making a bunch of traps. You're stealing a bunch of health, kind of. And then the hardcore will boost your red gem damage, which is useful for the Bloody Belly Suplex. Deal 1 million damage and make 14 random gems into blast gems. Then Finisher, deal 1 million damage, make 49 random gems into red gems, and pin the opponent. This is a combo move, which is really important to remember. Anytime you get a combo move, plate activation starts getting a little weird, okay? But right here, essentially, you're going to do 2 million damage, base move damage, 14 randos into blast, and then paint the entire board into red. All right. This is where the problems start with Bron Breakker, in my opinion. None of this is fantastic. The move damage is decent on his finisher, but it's not great. The 14 random gems into blast gems doesn't actually do anything that I can tell other than make it a target for reversal if this is a botched finisher. If it's not a botched finisher, then I don't know why he's tossing out the blast gems other than maybe pick up some extra damage from your entourage. And you're not going to want to run blast gem entourage anyway. These 14 random blast gems will not trigger a Titan plate because the move will not resolve. It will not trigger a Frankie plate. It will not trigger the blast anniversary plate either. So these blast gems are functionally useless. You're painting the board red, which is his tertiary gem color, so you're not exactly going to hit the hardest with it. And then over here, you are making 15 random gems into trap gems, so trap gem plates will activate because this move will resolve before you actually pin the opponent or do anything. So that's kind of cool. The steal health thing is really nice. You're stealing 1 million health per trap. You're painting the entire board red, so you're going to break all 15 of the traps. So you're going to steal 15 million health. But remember, I'm working with level 390 6-star gold. My opponents are going to be bare minimum 60 million, 70 million health. We're painting the board red and stealing 15 million health on top of it. That's not going to be a lot of damage. And then the inevitable suplex is just here to load the purple moves. And by the way, the move MP is relatively prohibitive. So you can't run double MP trainers and expect to kind of get this off turn 1 in any way that's kind of clever. It's kind of a mess. It's kind of a mess. Entourage, I played with this move set for about an hour to an hour and a half, somewhere in that time period. This is the best I could land on to maximize damage. And it does require Showboat Shinsuke Nakamura, which will any gem or any move and any trap that steals health will steal 100% more health, but it doesn't affect leech gems. So now we are stealing 30 million health, which is better, but still not quite enough. And then in order to get everything to flow in a way that is not as cascade risky, I'm using Hollywood Hogan. All right, matching any color gems charge moves of that color by 2. So a 3-match turns into 5. Then I'm using Sting here for red moves, start with 4 more move points. And then I'm using British Bulldog to get myself 2 more red MP, and then red gems do 45% more damage. Nothing else really makes sense here. You could use Piper, you could use a Hall of Famer, but I went with this because it actually maximizes damage, and everything here is relatively obtainable. Hogan, you had to grind from the Showdown store or get lucky. I think he was even added to keep pulls. These two should be free. And then Shinsuke here is over a year old, and he's not an S plus tier, I don't believe. He's not content locked, and he wasn't part of a special event. So those are my criteria for, whether or not it is relatively obtainable. He's been around for a little while. Then we go over here to the strap. We're using 100% gem damage and Fury 2s. I'm using the purple move damage metal for an extra 200% purple move damage. And then the rainbow Fury 2 gem damage metal for 35%. Okay. And then the plates. There are a lot of different options that you have here. The single best plate for this entire moveset, though, is going to be the Trapiversary plate. It's a trap. Whenever you make 8 or more trap gems, make 8 random gems and a multiplied gems of strength 8. So this is essentially adding 64 more gems. Real close to 64. 56 more gems on the gem board. And that is the most I could maximize at this particular spot. I'll talk about other combinations here in a second after I talk about the second plate. There are some plates I don't have access to on this account yet, but the only one, we'll talk about it in a second. The second plate that I've got is the Chelsea's Entitlement plate. Whenever you make 15 or more trap gems, increase your purple move damage by 200% for 1 turn. And yes, this is the plate that allows me to maximize damage with this card, with this moveset, without being super cascadey. A move damage metal, or plate. Yeah. You could put a Rumble on here, and a Rumble would make sense in certain situations. I messed around with the Valkyria plate, or Valkyrie's Crest, I'm sorry. This makes sense in certain applications as well. Other gem chuckers are fine. I actually even used the Sheriff's Badge here because you're painting the board red in combination with the Arcade Overload plate. Because the Arcade Overload plate is so common, whenever you break 4 or more purple gems, increase your yellow gem damage by 50% for 2 turns. And we're going to break 2 purple to load the red, or to load the purple moves. So the plate technically triggers. Nothing did as much damage into the pin as these 2 plates right here. Yeah. Not great. So let's go ahead and let's get into battle here. Over at the gem damage calculator, I've already got everything loaded up. His base gem damage is 46,807. Here's the strap. Here's the medals. Here's the 35%er. Substats are 107. Here is Davey Boy. All right, and then nothing else is relevant except for the multipliers that are going to be generated from the trap gem. So that's going to put us with what you see on screen. Our red gem should do 149,278 damage per. We're close. All right, so we're going to load the purple moves. We're going to load that with 2-3 matches. Click, 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 and then protect ourselves there. All right, now our purple moves are loaded. We're going to throw out all of these trap gems. This will trigger the Entitlement plate, and it will also trigger the It's a Trap plate. All right, so each one of these red gems, that's a multiply. You can see down here should do 1.19 million, and it does indeed do 1.19 million. We have the traps out. Each one of these are going to steal 2 million health, so that's 30 million total. And over here, you can see that the finisher damage has increased from both the medals that we have on there, the substats from the medals, and then the entitlement plate. This started as a 1 million damage. Now we're up to 4.8 million damage. So we can predict kind of what's going to happen here. 4820720 2 times is 9.6 million, plus the health steal is 30 million, and then plus 9553786. Plus 41 other gems at 149,278. That's going to put us at a final hit before cascades of somewhere around 55.3 million. It's not enough to really be usable at 6-star gold. Now, these are health steals, which is nice. There will be some self-sustainability, which may be important in other game modes that are coming out. But as of right now, there we go. We got some cascades that got us up to 56 million. Every other combination of entourage I tried, plate combination I tried, stuff like that. I couldn't eclipse 55.3 million without getting into very cascadey, very dangerous move sets. I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out. And I tried a bunch of different stuff, and nothing really quite worked. But that's the starter moveset that's available to you at 2 stars and will last all the way through 3 and 4 stars. So let's move on to the 5-star build. Actually, before we do that, let's go take a look. There is a hardcore move. Let's look at the hardcore move. Now, with the hardcore move, which does increase red gem damage, you can get away with something like swapping this out for a Valkyrie plate or a red Royal Rumble. For giggles, I'm going to do the red Royal Rumble. And this is going to get us into a proper hit. Don't have to change anything else. Entourage is fine. Their tag link is gem damage up, so we don't have to worry anything about that. And then I'm going to change my tag link to the modern era. So I've got a 5% boost that I'm not accounting for. It won't matter. It'll be okay. Same move flow. I'm going to do that and that. Nope. And that. Hopefully that's pretty safe. Here, we're going to throw out the traps, and then we're also going to trigger the activated buff of 100%. That should put our multiply gems, a singular one, up to 2.3 million or so. There's 2.5. Do I have... Hold on, I always forget this. Do I have class advantage? Yep, I sure did. All right, so I have the class advantage in here as well, and there's the 2.5. All right, so that's going to put us into a spot where you can go away now. Our final hit should be significantly larger. 2820720 times 2 plus the health steal of 30 million puts you into 35. All right, plus the multiplies that are going to be broken, which would be about 20 million. So we're up to 56 already. Plus the 41 and 30. We're going to assume the entire Royal Rumble plate breaks. That'll be 71 gems at 169.80. That's going to put us just a touch, 67.6 million final hit. Excuse me. No, I did that wrong. Sorry. So it's minus 71 times 169.80. Puts us back there, plus 71 times 321,960. There we go. That's much better. There we go. That lines up with testing. 79.1 million. That's what our final hit's going to be with a rumble plate. Again, not the greatest. It puts us into usable territory, so he turns into a specialist against technicians. You can use a Valkyrie plate if you wanted to as well, and still get kind of enough damage. So yeah, now you've got an option if you need to use Bron Breakker, and you can target technicians. I can't think of a good use case right now, but maybe the boss is a technician or something. Who knows? But there it is. There's the hardcore move in action with a rumble plate. All right. That's it for the gym damage, guys. That's his gym damage set. That's the best you're going to be able to get out of it without getting super risky. And I think you can get super risky and eke a little bit more damage. But I'm talking like you got to remove Hogan. You've got to figure out a way to break 9 without cascading. You only get 11 to play with to start the match. So, I mean, there's no room for error. It gets a little weird. The next moveset, this is the one that's available to you at 5-star. We're going to bring in a couple of new moves here. But we're going to keep the delayed inevitable suplex, and that's what we're going to use to charge our purple move here. We're adding in the shambling clothesline, deal 537,000 damage, and deal 3.1 million bleed damage to your opponent for 3 turns. So this is 9.3 million once all of the bleed ticks go down. And then this is also a hardcore move. If your opponent's style is defensive, first deal 537,000 damage and deal 3.1 million bleed damage to your opponent for 3 turns. So essentially just doubles the damage. Turns it into 6.2 per tick. That will put you at, what is that, 18.6 after 3 ticks of bleed, which is okay, I guess. Then we're going to go into the Cadaver Clutch. It's a color submission. Choose 11 gems to make into red, and then do 532,000 damage for 3 turns while submission gems are on the gem board. Remaining submission gems turn into botch gems. I couldn't find out anything to do with the botch gems here. And frankly, this is not enough submission damage and not enough turns to really focus on. So what I did with this build is I focused on bleed. And so the most accessible bleed entourage that I could come up with is Raquel. 75% more bleed damage. And then King Woods. I know he's not exactly the most common, but he's common enough. Moves and gems that cause bleed will do 50% more bleed damage. And I think actually, let me double check. I might. Nope, I'm not selling him short. 50 is his top end. So you can see we're going to do 6.97 million bleed damage for 3 ticks. So that's just a touch under 27 million per. Cool. Let's go check this one out. Strap, I didn't change because we're dealing with bleed damage and submission damage. Just a little bit of gems being broken, but not enough to really like significantly alter. If you really wanted to min-max it, you could put the Bite Man's jacket on him, I think, for red gem damage buff, or the purple one. I forget off the top of my head. All Heart would work there. That's the only one I can think of. I didn't test it because it's just not enough damage to really think about. it's not going to change how you put this character together. So hit the bleed first. Doesn't matter which one you hit first. Always hit the bleed just in case something goes catastrophically awry when I'm trying to load my purple move here. So now we're into the sub. We need to reload the red moves, and then the rest of it is just gem placement. Stick them in a spot where you don't think they'll get broken. No, they're just going to get broken no matter what, so here we go. And you can see the bleed tick away. And at 21 million, it's going to take 3 turns to do anything. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm not going to fight through it. It's 21 million damage every time you do the sub, essentially. Maybe 22.5 million damage when you account for the sub damage there. That's not enough. It's very safe, right? It's a submission move. You're going to control the match. It's going to be very slow, but it is going to control the match. So let's heal him up. Now, there are better bleed coaches in the game. There's better bleed entourage that you can use. By the way, I had to have Santa Hogan in here to get 6 red to start the match, in case you're wondering why Santa is there. There are better bleed, but they are much, much, much harder to get a hold of. So we're going to go here with this particular loadout. We're swapping Raquel for Apollo. Moves that cause bleed will do 150% more bleed damage. I should have checked all of this off screen because I think this goes up to 200 now. It sure does. Here's a little bit of talent up for you. All right, so that's going to kick us over to 200. And then over here, Ray Phoenix will do 100. Okay, so now our bleed's up to 12.4 million. That's going to be 37.2 million bleed, along with 1.5 million from the sub. So 34.7 per sub. We'll run it just cause, but it doesn't do. It's still a 2-cycle victory against Big Papa Pump, who only has 67 million health. Okay, if you run into anybody with significantly more health, you're going to have a little bit of a rougher time. Obviously, if you find somebody that's defensive, maybe this moveset gets a little bit better and a little bit more consistent for you because you'll essentially double the bleed and end up doing about 60 million per sub. You know, if you double this, it's 24.8. Multiply that by 3, and now you're starting to get into actual significant damage. But you have to be able to identify your defensive opponent just to be able to use a sub-bleed combo. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's... I'm not going to do that, personally. Yeah. Unless the game is incentivizing me to do this for some reason, right? But you can see, here we go, 3 turns. I've taken a little over 30 million health away from him, and then we just do it all over again. So here, 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 here. Hit the bleed. Hit the sub. 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 Hit the bleed. Hit the sub and game over. Now, again, sub-based gameplay. It's very, very controlling. If you go first, you can wipe out an opponent's MP, stopping them from being able to do anything as long as they don't have sub-reversals like most of the newer zombies do, or the 90s era cards, or, probably another half dozen that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. But, against those without a sub-reversal and without one MP moves, there you go. You've got a slow and controlling way that you can win the match. Yeah. Now his 6-star moveset really is just designed around the new game mode. Right. You can kind of crank up the damage on it a little bit. I was in autopilot. Give me a second. I'll slow down and come back and explain what I'm doing. That's 6, so I don't need that. So I was using him, and I was using relatively easy entourage to put together. The moveset is the Dr. Frankensteiner. Here is his submission reversal, and it's the same as all of the other zombies that I've seen this month. While being submitted, break submission, deal 5 million damage, and then 20 million bleed damage for 2 ticks. For a total of 45 million damage done, just for being submitted. In many ways, this is the most impressive part of Zombie Bron Breakker. Deal 555,000 damage, choose 10 gems to make into black gems. Over here, we've got the zombie attack. Generate 30 rando submission gems and do 2 million damage for 3 turns while submission gems are on the gem board. Remaining submission gems turn into silence gems. Silence gems are kind of unnecessary here. This 2 million per turn is actually halfway decent. You can kind of crank that damage up a little bit. And then 12 feet under, finisher, deal 3 million damage and 7 million bonus damage for every player turn that has passed, including the current turn for up to 10 turns. There's no way of buffing this damage just yet other than playing the game and getting these turns. If you stack the turns up, you can do 70 million damage here, but you have to play the game for 10 turns. Not exactly the greatest. I wonder if it works in step tours. Just now thought of that. That's interesting. Huh. I wonder if that's even usable in step tours. Anyway, sorry. Probably not because you can't. No, doesn't matter. I'm sorry. That's an interesting idea, though. So it's just a flat 3 million. It doesn't actually do anything other than damage. Okay. This moveset doesn't like to recycle into itself. You can't prep the board because you're dropping a submission and they're going to ruin all your prep anyway. It's kind of a one and done. You use the Dr. Frankensteiner to load everything, and then you just let the damage do the damage. Entourage, pretty easy to get a hold of. Woods for 4 black MP. Over here, we're going to use Nikki Cross black submission moves to 100% more damage per turn. And black moves start with 2 more move points. Logan Paul here, any color submission moves to 50% more damage per turn, and then last 1 more turn. And then Rocky Johnson for black submission moves to 50% more damage per turn, and black submission moves last 1 more turn. So now we're up to 6 million damage for 5 turns. That is 30 million damage. There you go. There's the math for this moveset. I am going to swap out his strap and put on my 150% move damage strap. It has takedown 2s on it, so you're getting an extra 80 here. And then my metal is 200% black just for the finisher. The gem damage breaking doesn't really matter. If they made a chic plate for black moves, that would be the plate. Other than that, nothing here makes any sense at all. So we'll go into it. We're starting with 7 black MP, so no matter how you move it, You're still going to make a 3 match to get your finisher loaded. So that's what we're going to do. If you want to eke out a little bit more damage, you can make a 6 match to reload this move. Then you hit him with a sub. And here's 30 million damage. And then you hit him with a finisher. The finisher is now up to 15 million damage because of the strap and the plates and stuff. Or not the plates, the straps and metals. And then the 7 million bonus damage for every player turn that has passed. We are into our second one, so that's 14. 14 and 13 is about 29 million, 29.3 million. So we should drop him down to about 5. And there it is. It'll be enough for Big Papa Pump here, but it is not, we're not really not doing a ton of damage here either. This one was a little frustrating. I spent a lot of time trying to find anything that worked that was relatively consistent and relatively safe. And I couldn't, this is the best that I came up with. Like I said, I'm sure you can get a little bit less consistent with him and eke out probably 20 to 25 million more damage with some clever gameplay and plate setups, possibly. But I don't know. I'm not sold on Bron Breakker here, and the reason I'm not sold is because I don't know what he does. Well, I take it back. I know what he does. He does too much. He's got a color choose submission that doesn't do enough damage. He's got a bleed move that doesn't do enough bleed. He's got trap gems that steal health that don't steal enough health. He's got 2 reload moves, basically. They're just setting up other move sets. He's got a finisher that does literally nothing for half of it, and then the other half doesn't do enough damage. And then he's got the new Titan, presumably Titan mode mechanic here. This sub is not enough to be considered a super sub. 2 million is nice, but 30 million over the course of 5 turns. I'm sure you could crank it up a little bit more. No, I don't think you can, actually. I think you're capped out. I did the math on this move set, focusing on nothing but move damage instead of sub damage. It comes out significantly smaller as far as damage is concerned, unless I did my math wrong. It just does a lot of stuff, but not really great at any of it, right? This 3 million's not enough to really be able to crank move damage and get into a one-hitter quitter type finisher. It's disjointed and all over the place. One of the more disappointing A tiers probably this year. And one of the most disappointing zombies I can remember in recent history. You have to go back 2 years ago to find a zombie that is as disappointing as Bron Breakker here is. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about this one. This is one of those where I would highly anticipate. Oh, the other thing is there is a moment. The only thing that the moment, the Camp Champions moment does that will help him is 100% gem damage to his red gems. Yeah. You can see over here, we can actually just kind of plug this in. Turns his base gem damage against technicians to 415, and will turn all of those multiplies we were talking about into 26 million. It's just not enough to make, it's not enough to make a significant difference. to Bron Breakker. So this is one of those where I kind of fully expect him to be Voltroned out. With maybe they add another moment, maybe they add gear. Most zombies get gear in the springtime anyway. Maybe it is move damage gear, bleed gear, or more red gem damage gear. Maybe they do make a Bron Breakker plate, a zombie Bron Breakker plate, and it turns out to be the Sheik plate, but for black. Who knows what they have planned for this card? But as it sits, it is nothing more than a very underwhelming base for future stuff to go on top of. Yeah. If you've learned anything today, if you've been entertained by anything today, or if you just happen to like the sound of my voice, do me a favor, click like, click subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.